You don't fall in love the way other people do. You take responsibility. You feel it the moment someone lets their guard down around you. The subtle shift in their tone, the pause before they admit they're struggling, the way their happiness suddenly feels fragile. Something inside you clicks into place. Your chest tightens, not with excitement, but with duty. An unspoken contract forms in your nervous system. If I care, I must carry. You tell yourself this is love. You've always told yourself this is love. You become more attentive, more careful, more available. You anticipate their needs before they articulate them. You remember details they forgot they told you. You adjust your mood to stabilize theirs. You swallow your disappointment because now isn't the right time. You tell yourself you're being mature, supportive, loyal, but slowly, almost imperceptibly, something shifts. Love stops feeling like warmth. It starts feeling like vigilance. Connection stops feeling mutual. It starts feeling managerial. And the cruelest part, you don't feel used. You feel needed, and being needed feels dangerously close to being loved. This is the paradox that defines your inner life. The coping strategy that once kept you safe, being responsible for others. Emotions is now the very thing preventing you from being truly loved, because love, real love, was never meant to feel like a job you can't clock out of. Yet you don't know how to love without overfunctioning. You don't know how to care without carrying. And you don't know how to relax in a relationship without feeling like something bad is about to happen. If you don't stay alert, so you stay. You manage, you endure, and quietly, you disappear. To understand why you confuse love with responsibility, we have to name the archetype you inhabit. This is not a personality trait. This is not just how you are. This is a developmental adaptation in psychology. This pattern often emerges from parentification, a process where a child is forced, subtly or overtly, to take on emotional or practical roles meant for adults. Sometimes you are the peacekeeper, sometimes the emotional sponge, sometimes the strong one, sometimes the one who didn't cause problems because there was no room for them. Love, in that environment, was conditional. It wasn't expressed freely. It was earned through usefulness. Your nervous system learned a brutal equation early on. If I am helpful, attentive, and emotionally responsible, I am safe. If I need too much, feel too much, or rest too much, I am a burden. Over time, this creates hypervigilance, a state where the nervous system is constantly scanning for emotional shifts, micro-threats, and signs of instability. You become exquisitely sensitive to others' moods, not because you're empathetic by nature, but because your survival once depended on it. Neurologically, your default mode network, the part of the brain involved in self-referential thought, becomes hijacked by relational monitoring. Instead of resting in your own experience, your mind loops around questions like, are they okay? Did I do something wrong? What do they need from me right now? This is often paired with an anxious or disorganized attachment style, where closeness is associated not with safety, but with obligation. Love is not something you receive. It is something you perform correctly. Think of it like this. You didn't learn love as a shared fire you sit beside. You learned love as a fire you must constantly feed, because if it goes out, something terrible will happen, so you keep feeding it, even when you're exhausted. Even when your hands are burned. Carl Jung once wrote, "The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents. But there is another burden, quieter and heavier, the unlived life of yourself." Because when love is confused with responsibility, authenticity becomes a liability. You stop asking, "What do I feel?" You start asking, "What is required of me?" You sacrifice spontaneity for reliability, desire for duty, truth for harmony. And over time, this creates an invisible grief, one that doesn't come from loss, but from constant postponement. The grief of the self you keep setting aside until things are stable. the self that is always waiting for permission to rest, to want, to be messy, to be human. Philosophically, this is the tragedy of instrumentalization, when a human being is valued primarily for their function rather than their essence. And tragically, you internalize this logic so deeply that you began to do it to yourself. Your core fear is not abandonment in the obvious sense. It is this: if I stop being responsible, I will stop being lovable. So even joy feels suspicious. Even ease feels unsafe. Even being cared for feels disorienting because it threatens the role that once guaranteed your belonging. Simple moments become complex. Rest feels undeserved. Receiving feels like debt. And beneath it all is a quiet resentment. You hate yourself for feeling because no one explicitly asked you to carry so much. You volunteered. You adapted. You survived. But survival has a cost. Healing begins when you stop asking, "How do I fix this?" and start asking, "What am I finally allowed to feel?" This is the work of inner child reparenting, learning to give yourself what you once had to earn. Rest without justification, care without performance, love without labor. It is learning to choose softness in a system that trained you for endurance. It is learning to sit in relationships where nothing needs to be managed and tolerating the discomfort of that unfamiliar safety. Shadow work asks you to reclaim the parts of yourself you disowned to stay lovable. Your needs, your anger, your desire to be held without explanation. And slowly, gently, your nervous system learns a new truth. Love does not require connection does not demand sacrifice of self. You are allowed to be cared for without earning it. The philosopher Erich Fromm wrote, "Love is not a feeling, it is a practice." But what he meant was not effort, it was presence. And presence begins when you stop confusing responsibility with devotion. You were never broken. You were trained, and now you are UNLEARNING. Not to become someone else, but to become whole. If this resonated, share it with someone who carries love like a burden. And remember, you are not here to be useful. You are here to be real.